Good evening. Welcome to Tarot Thursday. This is a first time for us. We're going to be coming Tarot Thursday to you through YouTube. So hopefully you're able to join us. Let me just click on here. And if I see any comments, I'd love to welcome everybody to us from Facebook, from YouTube, however you're coming in. Hope to see you. Each month, what we do, I'm Pat Dumas, by the way. I'm a local intuitive reader in South Central PA. I've been affiliated with Firefly Hollow for a long time. And what I do each month is I tend to draw some cards, and we do a reading for the people of the community. Now, the fact is, it tends to broaden itself out to as much as the country or the whole world, or it can be as close as your own backyard, your own life. So you can use these cards and the energies that they present to you in any way that seems to work best for you. I am using the Golden Universal Tarot, and this is a favorite deck of mine. It was gifted to me by one of my students last year, as a matter of fact, at last year's New Visions Expo, which is coming up next month. Make sure that second weekend of August, you make sure that you enjoy getting over to the expo at the York Fairgrounds. It's going to be some wonderful speakers and some outstanding vendors. I am going to be just about ready to start in about a minute or so. I want to give it a little bit of time because I know that some people are coming in from an unusual way for us this time around. If you have any comments or want to say hi, let me know that you're here, and I would love to see you. If you have any questions, of course, too, feel free to put the questions in the chat, and I will answer them as they come up. All righty, so let me go ahead, clear the space a little bit, and ask. Let's take this banner down so that we can see a little bit more of what's going on. I'll be drawing 4 cards. The first card is the overall theme. The second card, I look at that one as what is not in our power to address? What is not in our power to change? What's not up to us is a good way to look at it. The third card, what is in our power? What is in our control? And then finally, what's our next best step? So let's see what the cards have to say for us for this month. Okay. So the first card that comes up, quite interestingly, we have the Ace of Pentacles. All of the aces talk about sort of the pure energy of their suit. And in this particular case, Pentacles, we're talking about material force. So this is where we're looking at the concept of prosperity. We're looking at the concept of being practical. You know, the idea of the third dimensional world, how we get things done, really. Let me put the comments back up here. It's the idea when we see that Ace of Pentacles coming up, where are we making a physical third dimensional difference, and how can we do that? With that Ace of Pentacles in play, and it's upright, this would suggest to me that as a community, as individuals, perhaps as a country, we have the capacity to make a difference. We have the capacity to make an impact on the people with whom we come in contact. Being a material force, this can be the idea of literally having a physical difference that we can make in people's lives. We could be making life a little bit more financially feasible for the people around us. We could be providing greater prosperity for our families or for our communities. We could be looking at the concept of practicality in the sense of doing what's the right thing to do to be able to keep ourselves in a good practical position. In other words, doing the right work, getting the bills paid, making sure that we're getting to work on time, not shoving off our responsibilities when we know something has to get done. The Pentacles talks about the suit that is getting the job done, that's doing the right thing. They're trustworthy. They're stable. They are reliable. Is a really good way to look at it. So I find it interesting that our theme card is looking at that in its purest sense, the Ace of Pentacles. The card that comes up, which is interesting considering that we're looking at the idea of pentacles and the idea of how the third dimensional world comes into play, we have another pentacle for our card that is not up to us. So it's interesting. This is the Page of Pentacles. When I read them, they tend to come up in readings for me, the pages tend to be messengers. They tend to be telling us there is a need for you to be practical, to be trustworthy, to be reliable. But in this particular position, saying that this is not up to us, perhaps it means the concept that we cannot call the shots for other people, only for ourselves. We can't push somebody else into being reliable. We can't push somebody else into being trustworthy. We can't push someone else into being that person who is the responsible one. We can only do that for ourselves, and we can only claim that for ourselves. So I'm interested in this card and how it presents itself here as a messenger. Perhaps that is the message, that we need to focus on our own backyard, focus on our own bailiwick, and not worry so much about what other people are doing. Now, in the realm of the card that talks about what is in our bailiwick, our wheelhouse, so to speak, what is out in our control, I was a little stymied to see this one come up. We see the Queen of Cups. Now, if it was upright, I could totally understand that. We need to approach other people, approach our life right now from the position of love, from the position of caring. But this one is reversed. Now, reversals can be read in a number of ways. When we look at the tarot, reversals, in the way I read them, let's put it that way, they mean to me that the energy of that card is present, but for some reason it's blocked. It's either not able to be following through because of something in its way. It could be very early energy so that it's not yet gained momentum. It could be older energies, that's something that's already begun to pass out of existence. Or it could be that it's driven within. It could be the idea that the reason why it is blocked is that perhaps it's the way we're looking at it isn't accurate, that we're not seeing all the picture. So seeing the Queen of Cups, the card of she who basically lives love, she who basically is able to make people feel at ease by living her suit, by being her suit, not actively making change, not going out there pushing her caring on other people, but by simply being herself. She brings that element of love into place. With it reversed, is it possible that we need to love ourselves first? Is it possible that we need to turn that energy of the Queen of Cups first into accepting ourselves, into using our intuition for ourselves, into using our creative energy first for ourselves, and then we'll be able to help others as a secondary kind of a thing. So that's a possibility. That's two face cards out of 4 so far. And I find the last card to be even more compelling than anything else. Upright, this is the Lovers. This is the concept of chemistry. It's the idea of everyone bringing their own viewpoint to a connection with others, okay? But in this case, because it's reversed, it makes me wonder, do we not have our own point of view nailed down sufficiently? Do we not have our own viewpoint, our own value system nailed down enough to be able to feel that we can share that with other people? Because that's really what the Lovers is all about. The card before this, the Hierophant, talks about community. It talks about cultural mores. It talks about what it is that we need to do as a community in order to all get to the finish line together, so to speak. It speaks to conformity to a certain extent, but not the Lovers. The Lover says, where do you stand out? Where do you vary from the people around you? Where does your belief system or your value system step outside the mold of conformity, but yet is very true to you? With it reversed, perhaps we need to nail that down. Perhaps we need to truly come to grips with what we believe as a people, what we believe as members of the Firefly Hollow community, what we believe as members of Pennsylvania, what we mean as members of the United States or members of the world. Maybe it's time we take a really close look at what we believe, why we believe it, and whether or not it still fits. So, looking at all four of these cards, we start again with the Ace of Pentacles, and then the very first card, the Page of Pentacles. The theme being, how can we be a material force in this world? How can we bring practicality, trust, reliability into the world? And where is it not up to us to push that on other people, but simply to bring it to ourselves, bring it out through ourselves? And then the third card, the Queen of Cups reversed, we have to learn to love ourselves first. And once we've done that, perhaps that is when we'll know what our belief system and our value system truly is. And we can then be the Lovers. We can then bring the best possible balance, best possible chemistry into the situation. So I hope that was helpful to you. I will post these up on my page on Facebook, and I'll also post them here in the comments. I'll snap a quick photo of these and I'll put them up, and we'll be able to discuss this. I'd love to have some discussion on this subject over the course of the month. How do these cards work for you? How do they seem to resonate with what's going on in your life during this particular time? This has been Tarot Thursday here through Firefly Hollow. I'm really, really glad to have been here today with you. I'll see you again next month, and I will see you at the end of the month for Astro Weather, when we look at what the astrological forecast for the month of July will be. Until then, be well and have yourselves a lovely, lovely June. Take care.